Welcome back to another episode of We've Got Stories to Tell, where we chat with people involved across the music industry. Today I'm here with my former secondary school and sixth form teacher, Mr. Judson. Ben Judson, might I say. Say
Hello.
hi.
Hello. Yes, you're allowed to call me that now.
I know, it's weird.
You'll get over it.
Firstly, how are you doing?
I'm not too shabby, thank you. Yes, I'm all right. It's a busy time of year for us at the moment.
We should probably talk about what your job role is.
Sure.
So do you want to say what your job role is and any side job roles you have, for example, your wedding venues?
My side
like
hustle. Okay, yeah, so my job is at Wadston School in Buckinghamshire, and I am head of music and performing arts. So I look after the music department principally, and then the kind of overall stuff of the performing arts department. So yeah, that's the school we run. We run GCSE music and music technology, and the same at A-level now. We just started running A-level music technology, and we run the BTEC level 3 music course in the sixth form. So I've done all sorts of bits and pieces, especially if you're not in a teaching role like I am. You have to be able to do lots of things to pay the bills. And so I started like that. I did a bit of drum teaching, a bit of guitar teaching. I wrote music for a little theatre company as their music director for some of their projects. What else did I do? I taught doing some cover in a primary school, doing some music cover. And then also on top of that, I sort of had a function band that we did weddings and big birthdays and corporate events and stuff. And that now has grown really nicely to be very much like a bit of an outlet for me. So I think musicians, the majority of practicing musicians that I know just love music. Like
that's the thing.
It's not a job.
You
right?
have to be passionate about it to get it started.
Yes,
in life,
and it's very much a passion, like you say, as opposed to a job. And so I think part of it is for me just as an outlet, but also I think because I teach music at this level, what I want to make sure that I'm doing for my students is showing them that it's not just theoretical, it's actually real life too.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, so actually having a function band. So my function band is called Sir Duke, Juke. Follow us on Instagram. But we do it fairly exclusively, and it's always just really, really fun.
Yeah, so next question is just like, how did you choose to become a teacher? What drove you to teach?
Oh man, so I did my A-levels, one of which was music, and I knew I wanted to do music after sixth form. I was in a band for 2 years, playing drums as part of a band, which was part of a charity. It was actually a Christian charity based in Essex. They're not around anymore. But what we would do, basically, go into schools for a week and teach music and RS lessons or RE lessons for a week. Do assemblies, whether it was composition, performance, or chatting about like philosophical stuff. And usually it would be like a local church or a youth organisation that booked us. And we sort of toured all around the country and a bit in the Netherlands and Germany. And, you know, I think we went far up into Scotland, and it was just an amazing experience. I learned how to be a musician. And I think off the back of that, I thought, okay, I need to do something with music, but I'm not sure what it is. Maybe something in a school environment. But I thought I'll go and do a music degree. And so I ended up at Oxford Brookes University.
Oh yeah.
And did my music degree there. Loved it. Was in several bands at uni, performed in some shows. And whilst I was on placement, I did a little taster day at the school that I'm now teaching at. So the lady who was the head of music back then, Mrs. Carruby,
I remember Mrs. Carruby. I miss Mrs. Carruby.
Yeah, she's a legend. So she was running a training day for the music PGCE course because she was an advanced skills teacher. She was great. And at the time I was still thinking, I'm going to be a drum teacher, but I'm just going to get this teaching qualification out of the way. But then I saw her teach. I was like, I want to do that. Like,
it just clicked for you.
Yeah. I thought the way that she taught, I was like, this is awesome. It's a little bit like, what's his face out of School of Rock, Jack Black in School of Rock.
Oh yeah.
The way she was amazing. And then when she wanted to take semi-retirement, she got in touch and was like, do you fancy coming work here? So I applied and got it.
Thinking back to your Christian group that you had early on in your early days, can I just speak about how religion changed your way of thinking through music?
Or like shape music for me? Yeah, so I grew up in church. Like my dad's a church minister, and I remember playing like the bongo drums when I was probably about 5. I think my parents gave me some bongos for my 5th birthday or something, and I remember just like smashing those in church on a Sunday morning, just being allowed to play next to the drummer. And I kind of grew up with music. My dad's a really, really great musician, folk musician, plays guitar and sings, writes beautiful songs. So always grew up with music in the house. I had drum lessons and a bit of piano and clarinet. I got 2 younger brothers. One of them plays saxophone amazingly, and then he played guitar and writes as well. And then the youngest one played keys. So there was always music in the house. And then I guess kind of, with my dad as a church minister, we were always roped in to play for things because he needed help. It was always quite in little churches. So we ended up getting involved. And then, I think as part of that, I sort of grew up with loads of what you'd call CCM, so Christian contemporary music. But then some bands would be very like preachy. I was never really into that. Like the way my parents brought me up was much more, this is the kind of life that we're inspired to live.
Yeah, to be thankful. And
right. So, following the example of Jesus rather than, telling people that they're wrong. It was much more like, this is how I'm inspired to live.
So as someone who is maybe looking for guidance to learn about God and to be with God, would you recommend that type of music to help guide them?
It's like anything, right? There's no such thing as like somebody or some theme or some style of music which is only one shade, right? Everything is multifaceted.
Everything has subgenres, everything,
And it'll be the same, it's the same with people. So, there's plenty about me that I'm quite happy with, but there's plenty about me that I'm building and I'm working on. Ask my wife.
I mean, that leads perfectly to my next question, actually. Which is there ever times that you've struggled to believe, and do you think that music, the way you listen to music through God, helps you?
Oh, big time. Yeah, big time.
And when you play and when you listen to it and when you hear
that's a lovely question. Yeah, I think so, because music is such a personal... It can be something that is an outlet for you. So I write a lot of music. So I write songs. I'm working on an album at the moment. So one of my challenges for myself was basically to get an album done by the time I'm finished being 40. So I hit 40 this year.
Oh wow.
And I wanted to try and get an album's worth of songs, stuff that I've been working on for years that I just never finished. A lot of my faith story is kind of played out in my songwriting. So it's a nice way to get a lot of those ideas out of my system. So if I'm struggling with faith, or like I'm annoyed by like a particular way that I see faith being done,
you put it in a song. It's
a nice way to get it out of my system. And songwriting for me is a really good outlet. And I think a lot of the musicians I've kind of grown up over the last however many years, been inspired by the people that just write from their experience. But then there's other songs that like I keep returning to. So over the years, there'll be, stuff that I kind of grew up with in church, or songs
What would you say your favourite one is?
Oh, dude.
Your favourite song that you've connected with over all the years that you always go back to?
That is so hard.
Take a think, it's okay.
So there's a song by, I'm going to give you 2. Because I can't decide. So John Foreman wrote a lovely song that was on an album with his band called Switchfoot, and the song is called Meant to Live.
Okay.
And recently John Bellion covered it. If you remember John Bellion, like awesome producer, for their I think it was their 20th anniversary re-release of that album, and just the song just says, "We were meant to live for so much more. Have we lost ourselves?" And it's just a lovely critique of how, people we become very self-centered, and actually for living for more than just ourselves and getting as much as we can, it's just far more life-giving, and I love that. Yeah. I just love that. It's just such an anthem. It's such a banger as well. The other one is this one called Please Be My Strength, which is by a band called Gunga, Gungor, and it's a really lovely intimate song. It's like talking about faith and doubt, and how it's like a prayer, but it's kind of just like I need help because I can't do this on my own anymore.
Looking for guidance.
Yeah. So it's like like water on the sand, grasping at the wind. I keep on falling short in terms of finding faith.
So basically, whatever they do, they can't seem to grasp the idea
Right,
of
and then
faith.
the chorus is literally just like, please be my strength because I don't have any more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so real. I think sometimes people have this idea that if you have faith, then you think you're better than everyone, which is just rubbish. And I think, you know, or because the trouble is a lot of people come across as if like they know everything.
Yeah.
And especially like, you know, conservative evangelicals in the States, you know, that you see on TV, flipping, all of that preachy stuff. And for me, it's not that. It's very much like I'm inspired to live how Jesus did because I think he's someone worth following. Like I always remember someone say to me, like the best leaders are the ones that others want to follow. And actually, like the way that Jesus lived, I just can't fault. And there's a lovely story where he's in the temple with his disciples and he's like, hey, you see all those rich dudes over there? They're like jangling all their money as they pour it in the offertory bag for the poor. They're like, hey, look how much cash I've poured in for all of you, or for all the poor people. And then there's this little lady and she's got 2 coins and she just puts them quietly in there. And he says to his mates, like, who's given the most? And it's the lady who had hardly anything. She's super poor and she's only given what she has, as opposed to the dudes who've got plenty of cash and are showing off. And so, you know, I just think as a philosophy, that's a beautiful thing. And there's so much of that stuff. So for me, I think that informs a lot of the way I try and live, even if I fall short of that sometimes.
Thank you very much for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Monster.
Okay, thank you.
So verse 44 in Mark chapter 12, 41, in Mark chapter 12 says, sitting across from the offering box, he, so that's Jesus, was observing how the crowd tossed money in for the collection. So that's for the poor people. Many of the rich were making large contributions. One poor widow came up and put in 2 small coins, just a measly 2 cents. Jesus called his disciples over and said, the truth is that this poor widow gave more to the collection than all the others put together. All the others gave what they'll never miss, but she gave extravagantly what she couldn't afford. She gave her all.